that's where we lost all the $100,000. Never saw a dime of that back.
Made like 400K on that, and I was like, that was what I was making in tech.
So you bought it for 3.4. What do you think it's worth now?
It's probably in like 4.8 range right now.
That's how I got my first listing. That's it. I sold for over $2 million.
What is the shortcut to $1 million a year? So today I am with Calvin Chen and Jennie Lok, and let's name all the different ways that they are amazing. All right, so we went from tech sales to real estate agents and investors. Actually, the agents was first. Scaling down to 382 units, doing hundreds of million in real estate sales locally. And now you have a thriving real estate community of, how many investors do you have in Zen Coast University?
It's around like 450-ish.
Okay. All with the mission to help other people become millionaires too, and eventually buy a private island. So that's all coming up next. Well, welcome to the show, Calvin and Jennie.
Thanks for having us, Josh.
Beautiful house, by the way.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And this backdrop is fun.
Yes,
got
perfect
the
for
wall.
happy hour, right?
Exactly.
I know, except we don't have any drinks right now.
Yeah. By the end of the show, these will all be empty, right?
Oh, challenge accepted. Well, sweet. Just for context for the viewers, give a quick 60-second origin story. So who's Calvin? Who's Jennie? Ladies first.
Yes.
Jennie.
I'm Jennie Lok, and I'm here to unlock your potential. Also, Jennie Lok from the block from Brooklyn, New York. I started from flipping sneakers when I was 10, 11, 12 years old in middle school. And now I moved out to the Bay Area, initially from tech world, and then became a real estate investor and then full-time real estate agent, and also a wellness retreat owner in Hawaii as well too. And also built a business with Zen Coast University with my husband, Calvin here.
What's up? That's me. So I came from more of a background where it was like I was taught like, hey, go to school, get a good job, go to corporate, and then just like, pop out grandkids until you're 65, you get your pension and your 401k. So that's what I followed. Right? Was lucky enough to get into school and then got a job in tech where I actually met Jennie. And basically she left to do real estate. I stayed in tech and, kind of found that was not what we wanted to do forever. She made the jump first, and then basically just ended up, using whatever commissions we got from that job and bought real estate with it, and eventually had enough money where it outweighed my salary. And I still kind of struggled with that identity of like, oh man, like maybe I should just stay or not. And, finally decided to make that jump and go full in real estate, and was able to scale that. And then, now we give back with our university, like Jennie said, and now we're a nonprofit as well. So
I love it. And just, as a retention magnet, basically for anyone who's watching this, what's the portfolio look like today? Like clearly the house is beautiful. I'm sure you guys are making more money than you guys would have in tech sales, right?
That was actually one of the things that got me out of tech sales is I did a multifamily deal. And probably put like 40 hours into that total. Okay. And like made like 400K on that. And I was like, that was what I was making in tech.
Dude,
but like
awesome.
40 hours every Monday.
Okay.
Right. So it was like, all right, like that was a good, like, okay. And then actually Jennie was a big part of that. She was like, hey, like, dude, like look at the numbers here. You just did that in 40 hours for the whole year. You make that in like, 2,080 hours a year. So what's the math there, right? So that was the catalyst for you. And then Jennie, like, let's start with the end right now. What's the portfolio look like?
So we have 382 units, and it started from first our house hacks, and we bought Bay Area, our own separate, because before we were married, a Bay Area property where we were renting out rooms in the house, and that helped pay for most of the mortgage. Even Calvin was in a condo, and we had this little tiny laundry room, and we rented that out for $1,200. It didn't even have a door. We just put a curtain up, but we just made ends meet back then, lived with roommates, and we have now our portfolio spanning across Airbnbs in the Bay Area. We have properties in Texas, Alabama, Utah, Kansas City and Hawaii and also Tennessee, from varying from 1 units to our largest one is a 150 unit acquisition in Texas. And then we also have a wellness retreat center in Hawaii. So that's one of our crown jewels. But we like to diversify just because like, hey, if there's an earthquake that hits here, then okay, our properties are not going to be good here. If a hurricane hits in the south, then it's not going to be good. So being able to diversify all around in different asset classes, from Airbnbs, midterm rentals, and long-term rentals, from single families to smaller multis to larger multis from 16, 37, 52 units, and 150 units.
Gotcha. So we're going to color in the picture now. We're going with 335 units. Is that the number?
382.
382. I don't even know how I got that right. But anyways, so 382, we'll color that in. And then we'll talk a little bit about, obviously, on the agent side, because you run Zen Coast Homes. You guys started a coaching mastermind program together, and that's Zen Coast University. And then you also have the community aspect and the asset management part. So you got a few things you want to hit. Let's take it back. Tech sales.
Yes.
Okay. And you guys were in the same floor department?
Same floor. Luckily, not the same team. We were in the same department. We almost were on the same team, but then the manager realized we were dating, so that
was not down.
was not okay. But we sat 2 rows away from each other.
Okay.
And we sold Oracle database and technology, and it really helped us hone into our sales skills, cold calling skills, and being able to build social skills as well too, because there was over 100 other people who were going through the program with us too. And a lot of them ended up being our clients or students, and it's just full circle from there now.
Yeah, it translates really well into real estate investing because he taught us, we did a bunch of cold calls back in the day, and on cold calls, you're getting rejected left and right. So what's good about real estate investing? Just pretty much picking up the freaking phone, right? And just making calls. And so that helped us have the confidence to know it's not personal, but also working on our negotiation skills and things like that. So
I 100% agree. I think everyone should have a sales job.
everything's a sales job. Even being married, dude, that's a sales job.
That's true. Who asked who out?
This is debatable.
Really?
Well, he would come to me at the Oracle gym. That's how we met originally.
Okay.
And interrupt my workouts and invite me to pre-games for outside lands and other things. But there was one night I reached out to him like, hey, you want to hang out? And
so he cold called you basically 5-10 different times, and finally you said, all right, let me give him a shot.
She was a warm seller. I knew it. And then eventually she converted. So
yes, it's all about persistence though.
Yep.
Yeah, especially transitions to sales. What was, I'll go for each of you, whether it be in tech sales or in real estate, what was the most diligent you had to be in your follow-up and your sales process to actually get a deal closed? Something come to mind to either of you?
Well, the rule of thumb is 7 touches.
Okay.
Right? So you always need 7 touches before you get some kind of response. And after 7 touches, they don't, respond, then you can just kind of close that lead out. So I always took that in almost everything in life, where it's all right, obviously, even in your own day-to-day life, if someone texts, sometimes you'll forget that, right? But if they keep on texting me every day, right, for 7 days straight, you're gonna freaking respond with something, right? So I've seen it on both ends. Even some mentees that I have that I've met, I'm like, how did I even create a relationship with them? It's because they just kept on reaching out over and over and over again until they were friends, right? So.
And I'll share the story of how I got my first listing, and it was from Craigslist. And I went on an estate sale and just reached out to people who were selling furniture, because I was like, okay, if they're selling furniture, it's an estate sale, maybe they might want to sell their house as well too. So reached out to a lot of different people, and the first person, I had a few responses. They're like, oh, I already have an agent or other things, but this person didn't have an agent. They're willing to sell. But they said they had a lot of realtor friends. And I just kept messaging, seeing what their goals were, and met them in person. And he said he had other agents. But then what I did is I stalked him, and I saw on Twitter that he just gave birth, or his wife just gave birth to their second child, and then their first child, their daughter. So I stalked their address, and then I found their address, and I mailed the daughters, and I found out the daughter's name. And I mailed her a Disney story playbook, or storybook.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, Kiana, congratulations on being a new big sister. Here's for you to read to your new baby brother. and mail it to them. And then he's like, okay, I got your book. And if you can give me a proposal by Monday of why we should use you, I will entertain it. And then that got into the meeting. And that's how I got my first listing. That's I sold for over $2 million.
Wow. And at that time, were you full-time real estate or were you still working in tech too?
I just switched into full-time real estate. So this is my first deal. Honestly, at that point, I wasn't even licensed as a realtor yet. I was waiting for my test date. But I knew like once I would list it, I would be licensed by then. But at that time I wasn't. I was just like, I just got to figure out how to find my first deal.
Yeah. Okay. And then let me backtrack then. How did you make the transition from tech to realtor? Like, what was that switch for you?
I bought my first house while still working at Oracle.
Okay.
And then I bought my second house, which is an out-of-state Airbnb or out-of-state regular long-term rental in Alabama.
Okay.
And I ran out of basically debt to income ratio to be able to qualify for more. And I tried to get higher paying jobs in other tech jobs. So I applied for Amazon, I applied for Google, I applied for ADP and all these ones. And I got to the final interview, but I never got the actual role. And then my old mentor reached out to me and asked, hey, do you know of anyone that's looking to get into real estate and join a team? I was like, I wasn't really thinking about becoming an agent because I only wanted to be an investor. But then I was like, okay, well, these jobs are not lining up. So I tested that out and was able to jump ship. And initially I got a role for a part-time.
Okay.
And I was just like, why commit 50% part-time? I'm just going to go all in and just quit my job. And luckily, like Calvin was really supportive during that time and just said like, hey, like I want you to go follow your dreams and your goals. We already had my house that I was house hacking, and I ended up renting out my room, living with him. So I didn't know that. Hacking him and also gas hacking. I would have him drive me everywhere. So it's like my expenses were very minimal at that time because I was leveraging him.
I didn't know that, by the way. I was in hacked.
Wait, hold on. And at this time, you guys weren't married yet.
No,
you guys were
we
dating.
were just dating.
Living separately because you had your own house that you were house hacking.
And then he had his condo that he was hacking as well too.
So when I finally asked her to move in, she's like, all right, cool. And then like we just went home. She's like, cool, I moved in. Didn't change anything. It was already moved in already.
Yeah, and I was already renting out my room to get.
I think you brought like a bag over. That was it.
Yeah.
Like one bag, and I was like, oh.
But you guys talked about this before, though, right? Or did she
No.
kind of just show up? She didn't show up with a bag of clothes?
Oh no! I
would stay over.
She'd sit over like when we were dating and stuff.
Yeah.
Like you have like your dresser, and then maybe one drawer would be hers, and then 2 drawers, and then 3 drawers, and then all of a sudden all of them were hers. So when I did actually officially ask her to move in, there wasn't any change. It was like, all right, cool, I moved in, great.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Yep.
That's a love story right there.
Yes.
Okay, and then so then this was, what year was this?
2017?
2018 probably when I fully moved in, but I switched into real estate 2017.
Okay. So it was a year into it. And then tell me about that. We'll hit Jennie's story, then we'll transition over to Calvin's. How did you go from that first listing to then, how many listings have you had? How many do you have now you have a team. Like, what's that look like and all of that?
We have a team about 10, and we have some virtual assistants in the Philippines and 6 agents that are full-time, some part-time agents as well, and all women team. Today's International Women's Day, so happy International Women's Day.
Happy International Women's Day.
And our team last year, we sold 114 homes, over 120 million of volume, and have done that the last couple years prior to. So listings wise, probably have sold close to 200 homes for listings, and then buyers probably about 350 or so.
Wow. Congratulations. That's fun.
Thank you. Yeah.
And then what's been the catalyst? Like, I guess, why even scale to that point? Like, why build a team? There's always I could be an individual contributor and just crush it and I'll have that. Why did you want to scale that side?
It was definitely to give back to others, and I just didn't want to do it myself. And seeing other people would just reach out to me, and they would Photoshop their photo into like me and my operations and other team photos, and they're like, we want to join your team, and what you all mean and how you've been able to change the world. And we always say, like, if you want to go fast, go at it alone. But if you want to go far, go at it together. So definitely it's important to build a team to be able to get to that multi-million-dollar income per year. Because if you're just stuck, like before when I was just working, I would be working 80, 100-hour weeks doing everything because you're doing the operations, you're doing the marketing, you're doing the sales, door knocking, prospecting, lead gen, all these things. And it was very tiring.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, what do I enjoy doing and what am I really good at? And how can I delegate the rest where they can learn, they can get a salary or a commission job and get a piece of it and learn from me. So it's really truly about giving back to the community. I don't have to have a team, but I like it because I love seeing the growth of these ladies.
Okay, and then Calvin, how long did it take you to get convinced to go into real estate? So she left in 2016, 2017?
Yeah, I left in 2020.
Okay.
Yeah,
So 3 years after.
2022.
Oh, 2020.
21, yeah.
21, well, put the word out. So for me, it was actually like I was at a pivotal point in my life where they wanted to promote me to leadership.
Okay.
Right now, I was like, holy crap! Like this is like that fork in the road. That it's like, all right, like, do I go full in on this and like commit to that? And if I do, then that's what I'm doing. Like, kind of climb the corporate ladder. Or two, was it to like, no, this is the time to actually make that jump. And I would actually look at like the people that were like 10 years ahead of me in the company, and I'm like, dude, do I want to be that person? Mm-hmm. And the resulting answer is like, kind of not. Like that sounds kind of miserable, to be honest. And so it was scary though, because like I come from a background like security. Like I craved that a lot. I'm like, oh yeah, there's a stable paycheck coming in. Like, if you look at it on the outside in, people are like, why would you do that?
Yeah,
like, it's a good paying job, like in a good industry at the time. Texas, a little unstable right now, but like at the time, it was like that was the place to be, right? And it was definitely very scary. Probably one of the hardest things I've had to do in my life of just like decision, fatigue of like what's right, and what's wrong. But there is no right or wrong. Like both answers were going to be right no matter what. But it was mostly just an identity shift at the end of the day that I really had to go through because, yeah, go ahead.
No, so I was going to say, so it's the identity shift. And aside from saying, well, I'm looking at my boss from 10 years, VP of sales, and yeah, sure, he makes a decent amount of money, but you don't like his lifestyle. So that was changing that mentality. How about on the financial standpoint now? Was it also because now she's built out a team, had some security at first, it seemed like, and I'm just, reading into the situation now, 15 minutes in, it's almost like you were the stability while she then pivoted. Mm-hmm. And also, I mean, the cost of living was lower because you guys were both house hacking, which is great. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She had some stability there and your income or the cost of living was also still low?
I mean, you would think that would be like a slam dunk answer, right?
Yeah.
I think that came into the decision-making process of like, all right, well, what do we really have to lose by doing this, right? And really it was nothing because at the end of the day, I was like, I could always go back to a job. But I didn't really have that mentality either. It was kind of like burn the ships. But the other aspect, yeah, was she was trying to build I don't know if you built a team. You just built a team out. So that was like starting to become more stable, right? So that was good. And we had our passive income coming in. So on a financial side, actually, it was, decision was actually really easy. It was more of the mental side. Like if you just look at it as the analytical side of things, like the financially, yeah, sure, you could totally do it. Wouldn't affect anything. On a individual psychological aspect, that was the hardest part because you're like, well, I have this already, and it's always kind of like scarcity mindset of like, I built all this already in this job that I should just continue to go here.
Yeah.
Versus take a risk and just go full time and where am I going to put my time at? And also most importantly was like, what are other people going to think about me? And I think that was like a big like kind of moment of like, wow, like why do I care so much about what other people think about me? Like I would think about like my family members or friends that were like, why would you quit? Kind of thing. That's a dumb move, right? So that was the biggest part. The financial side was actually pretty easy.
Let's go a little more nitty gritty, a little more tactical. Mm-hmm. Let's have fun. Someone wants to make $1 million a year. Mm-hmm. Have you guys made $1 million a year?
Yep.
And is your answer the same? Like, what is the shortcut to $1 million a year?
So if you're able to help 100 people make $10,000 a year, you'll be able to make $1 million. So it's people that you help will get there. If you want to make $1 billion, you got to help 1,000 people become millionaires.
And when you say help, what does that mean?
By guiding them, teaching them, and getting them to where they want, and
Okay.
teaching them the skills to be able to get that income as well.
So is it, and I'm reading in between the lines, is it the educational mastermind group and community that you've created? Is it the agent side? Is someone, like if someone's starting from zero and said, cool, the end goal is $1 million a year, they have to pick one first.
I think if we even kind of get more tactical about it, it's like, I think on the baseline of it, it's not like, hey, should you start a coaching business, or should you start doing real estate investing, or should you start being an agent? It's more like, okay, well, who can I serve and who can I help, right? And I love that answer. You kind of stole it, but it's cool. But like, people will say, it's like, if you want to make $1 million, you got to make 100 people like millionaires too, and then you'll be rewarded for that too.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to go with that mindset of like, how can I serve first? Whether it's serving clients as an agent, whether it's serving people in our investment group, it's like, hey, we can help raise capital, right, or do deals, and we can make you money that way.
Yeah.
Right. So you're doing something to help other people, and I think where people get stuck so much is like, oh, I got to make $1 million. How do I do this? Versus how do I help people do this? And that always will intrinsically come back to you no matter what.
Yeah.
And what we also learn, and we learned this from Tony Robbins, is that a lot of people focus on the tactics and the strategy, but you first have to change your state of mind first and your state of physical being, and really say, like, what does a millionaire look like? What does she or he embody every single day? What is their mindset? What is their morning routine? And who are they surrounding themselves with? You are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with, and not only just by their personalities, but also their income. So if you look at your 5 best friends, take all their average income, it's going to probably average about what you're making. And then you go into the story, changing your story of who do you need to become. So we do an exercise with our students in Zen Coast University called the Vivid Vision. And that is where in 3 years from now, at the end of the year, December 31st, 2027, what is that story? Who are you celebrating with? Where are you taking your family and your friends on trips? And how, like, are you in a luxury hotel? Are you in the mountains? Are you traveling abroad? What is the food you're eating? Did you fly first class, business class? What are the waves, like, of the ocean that you're hearing? And like any sounds, any scents, and all that, that's a story. And then you go into the strategy and the tactics. So many people are like, oh, let's figure out what's the tactics and the strategies. And I love the tactics, and you're probably like, okay, what is the tactic? Then it's just really breaking it down. And this is from the One Thing book by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. So what is your one big goal? Your one goal is to make $1 million. And then your 3 strategies from there. And you have to tie the money into something bigger than just money.
Yeah.
So for mine was, I will make $1 million. You see how I caught myself, like I will. And just being confident, I will make $1 million to be able to help my parents retire. And this is an exact goal. And last 2 years ago was able to help my parents retire because I made over $1 million. And then the strategies from there. So it's called the GPS: 1 goal, 3 priorities, and then 5 strategies, GPS. So the 3 priorities was, my first priority was on the, like, buying the real estate agent side.
Yeah.
And then the second side was my real estate investing side. And then the third priority was my personal growth and education side.
Okay.
And then breaking down, let's just say on my real estate agent side, the strategies was being able to build my social media and reach out to people on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. My second one was door knocking and farming and building a network around here. And then third one was doing open houses. And then fourth was just cold calling and outreaching. And fifth one was networking with other top agents, being able to build rapport with them and being able to time block each of those in your calendar from there. And then having each one and breaking down, okay, from $1 million, I'm going to make 750 here, 250 investing, and then the coaching side or the investing side is more of a bonus. But then what we've built out is, like, we made $2.5 million within a year from one in each category and stuff too. So just really breaking it down and committing to your time schedule and your day-to-day calendar.
Well, thank you for going top line and then tactical.
Yes.
They were really tactical there. Yeah.
That was helpful. What about you, Calvin? If it, like, I'm assuming that you also had your own trajectory in there. Like, what was that plan for you?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could say like, sitting here now, like, oh, I had this grand plan that, I was gonna make $1 million, right? But really it was like, just do the small things every day. I think sometimes we focus too much on the habits or the outcome. It's like, oh my God, how do I make $1 million, right? Versus the habits to get there, right? So the habits to get there for us, or for me at least, it was one, once I got out of my job, it was, all right, like investing, right? How do I focus on investing in real estate? How do I scale that business? Okay. I told you the story that in our first multifamily, we made $400K on that, and like, it was like maybe like 6 months or whatever in total, but it was like, oh, cool. Like, how do I actually scale that then and do more of that? So building out the team out there. So, built out a property management company, built out a boots on the ground team in general out there, right? And just started to buy more assets that way. From there, right, then we were able to leverage that into, okay, well, how can we give back, right? And that was the coaching program, right? So that helps us, one, teach a lot of people, but also we do make an income from that, right? And then guess what? That also allows us to build trust with those individuals and help them along the way. But when we have bigger deals that we need to do, then guess what? We get to, ask our friends that are in our community first, right? And now we can do bigger deals because of that. And, so it's all kind of vertically integrated in a way where, even for the Asian side, it's like, okay, cool. She has clients and, I don't even call her a real estate agent. I mean, she's a wealth consultant as real estate as a vehicle, right? And so they'll buy, houses with Jennie. They have their primary, great. But then, how else can we leverage real estate to build our wealth? Okay, well, let us teach you in Zenko's University, right? Build your wealth that way. And, if you want to do bigger deals with us, hey, we also have that avenue, right, as well, where we do, big multifamily. And guess what? We also have a property management company that will manage our properties, right, our units. So, it all kind of like happened organically. I wish I could tell you like, hey, like grand scheme, like back in 2017, like this is the game plan, right? We do that nowadays where we're like, okay, every year, like what are we doing? And tracking is super, super important, like dashboards, all that stuff, KPIs. I know it sounds like a broken record, but it literally what you track is what happens, where we put energy, right? But I think it was just one step at a time. Agent life, the investing. Hey, now we got that down. Hey, let's do coaching as well. That's kind of our give back. Hey, now we can do bigger deals. So let's start a capital group. Hey, we have enough properties. We should do a property management company. So we started a property management company, and now we want to give back more. So now we have a nonprofit. So
what is the plan now? Like, it's worked. Is the goal like? What is the end goal? And obviously, yes, it is to grow different branches and help more people. But what side, if you could scale one the most, would you want to scale the most?
I would say our impact side, we just started Zenko Cares, which is we go around and teach middle schools and high schoolers financial literacy at a basic level.
Super
so
fun.
We talk about Jordans, we talk about Pokemon cards and all that stuff, so it's super cool. But we love that. I mean, I think that's like, we always say is like we want people to go from having an active income, which is you trade your time for money. So eventually that you have passive income, which is you make money while you sleep so that you can focus on your passion income, which is doing things that the world needs, that you love, that makes an impact.
Yeah.
Right? And so for us, the nonprofit is something that we get to focus on now, and real estate has been a vehicle for us to be able to focus our time on that. But because we don't make any money on that, but it's just like it's the most fulfilling though. Like every time, and we just did a session 2 days ago, right? And like Jennie knows, like I came back, I was just beaming, right? But that's why we're here on Earth, man. Is like to be able to do that kind of stuff, not to be buried in our real estate investment portfolio. It's cool, but it's just a tool to get to that side of things.
I get it. And also, I mean, like when you work with talking to adults all day, talking about bigger numbers in your conversations, yes, it's fun helping that, but if that ends up being 99% of the time versus now translating it to Pokemon cards or Jordans, it's fun. With my 5-year-old, I tried to teach him, trying to figure out like what's the easiest way to teach him about money.
Yeah.
And for me, I came up with a saying of you make money, you invest your money, and your money makes money for you. I try to keep it super simple, and I was like, oh, that'd be like a fun like little children's book to make.
Yeah.
With that.
I just wrote that down actually on my goal list. Actually, was like make the children's book eventually. So I love that.
Yeah, I had ChatGPT right. So I said, after that, I was like, oh, then let me just tweak it now.
We were making a presentation for the middle school, and I was like, ChatGPT, how can you explain this to a middle schooler?
Yeah, but it's tough.
Yeah, it actually really stretches you because we're so used to, like you said, like talking like big acronyms, numbers, all that stuff, and really just to really not dumb it down, but simplify it, but also make it fun. And honestly, it made me feel like a kid again, like being able to say that. So I think that that was a big cool part that I realized of myself.
Okay, pivoting gears now. I want to go back to as you're, climbing. Give me a speed bump, whether it be on the agent side, on the investing side. Was there what was the moment where you were like, oh man, dude, this was maybe we should not. You said a flip. You tried to flip. What was learning there?
Yeah, we invested $100,000 on a flip.
Okay.
And it was someone who did a lot of projects before, and we wanted to learn. And we should have known because they put in orange backsplash and red countertops and
Painted
really
house like
a puke green, and which, with flips, you got to go neutral. But anyways, it was her project and we didn't really have a say in it. We were just more of the lending side and joint venture with 100K, a small portion of it.
Yeah.
And then the flip didn't make money. So that's where we lost all of the $100,000. We never saw a dime of that back. And that's why we're a little bit scarred from flipping. So we decided to just focus on the buy and hold and investing in that. But we really, it was a tough time back then, and just trying to call her and
what year was
try
this?
2016, 2017, when we just started. And we were we could have been scarred from real estate in general and just stayed in our W-2 jobs in corporate. However, we said this was a learning lesson. We actually want to be able to be different as an investor and be honest and be truthful and be good designers as well too, designing projects. But we decided to just keep with buy and hold, because then there's no risk of it's more of a long-term play. And that's how we've just really built our portfolio where we do flip properties, but we keep them and then we BRRRR it and pull the equity out and buy more properties and scaled into larger multi-units. So a lot of times when we go through speed bumps or other things and struggling times, what really helped me is how can I reframe and say, this is happening for me, and why is this happening for me, and what is a gift in this moment, so that it's gonna help me become a better agent or better investor or even better wife or mother or daughter in the future. That's where it's stay on the positive side, because I could have gone in a downward spiral from there.
Can I ask the awkward question? Do you still have a relationship with that person?
No. Because I've seen her post on stuff on Facebook, and she's asking for more money, and I'm like, where's my money? And then she did DM me. She's like, oh, shouldn't have posted that. I was like, well, I'm still looking for my money. So I'm a little passive aggressive in that way.
No, that's fair. I mean, it is. What would be, if you were on the other end, what would be how would you want that issue to get resolved so someone doesn't do that in the future?
If I were the investor, just ensuring that I know the comps and having, for any of our projects, if things go sideways or if they really need their money back, and having a cash reserve and being able to pay back our investors. So a lot of flippers investors are always constantly borrowing other people's money and other things, which is we have done to scale, but we also have the portfolio and our own assets to back it up. So if we lost someone's money in an investment, we would end up just selling one of our deals and our projects to pay them back.
Yeah.
And we want to do good with our investors, because it's your brand. It taints everything if you don't pay anyone back. And how are you going to survive? So that's why for us, it's we really care about our brand and the value that we give. So we even ate money from our own costs and gave it back to other investors.
It's the ethics and morals of the people that you're working with, and I think that's something that we overlooked in the beginning. But as you probably know too, you get more experience, that is everything.
Oh, the
Everyone
reputation.
can talk, but are they going to walk the walk, and do they have the things to back up, and will they do that too?
Yeah.
Right. It's the action piece, and I think that's where we've been burned, right, in the past, and I think that's what's shaped us too. Of we don't want to be those people, right? Of that name of that person, we'll call that person Voldemort, right? We'll talk about it, but you don't want that, right? You don't want to be anywhere part of that energy and that person. And so as long as you can back it up and you have the assets to pay people back, even if it's out of your own pocket, that's what really is going to separate you in general.
Okay, so I want one more speed bump though, but I want it from an asset management side. Any of the rentals?
Yeah.
Give me one.
Yeah. Okay, so on the asset management side, I think for the most part, what we found, especially with out-of-state investing, is that operating it and managing the property manager is really tough, a lot of property managers suck, and they really do, because it's a tough business, right? Like property management, I mean, you think about it, all the property managers are minimum wage, right? It's a no-win situation, so no matter what, they're never doing, even if they're doing their job right, they're okay, right? If they're doing anything wrong, then they're getting always shoot out, right? So we had a tough time in the beginning, right? Like managing properties, because it was like, how can we get stabilization faster? Like things are not fast enough, things like that, right? And especially we were doing development out of state too. Like, things, quality got, kind of pushed aside a little bit. And so, we got to a point where it was like, all right, we like either have to sell these properties or we have to bring property management in-house. And so we made that decision. I never thought I'd ever own a property management company in general. We started one day and night. Like absolute day and night, where if you can actually control your properties, you actually have people on payroll that they're just working on your properties. Like holy crap, like it actually makes a huge difference, because you actually care more than anyone else that would ever care.
You guys are in so many different markets. Like I'm in a few different markets too.
Yeah.
And it sucks. Like it's the worst.
Yeah.
It's the least thing. If I could pick one thing, it would be, okay, find a handful of markets, not more than 5. You guys are also in more than 5.
Yep.
Your property management company, how many markets is that company active in?
It's 2 markets right now. So like
Okay.
Alabama, Tennessee.
Is that where you have the most units too?
Yeah, so that's a lot where our multifamily is.
Okay.
In general. And then other ones we have like, like partners and stuff that are managing it. So like one partner that has his own property management company in the Smoky Mountains for Airbnb. We have a partner in Utah that manages our stuff there. Right?
Okay.
So he's boots on the ground. So yeah. But
Our sister manages the Airbnbs here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So trusted people that
Yeah.
you can rely on, that you can actually like talk to and be like, hey, like this is the game plan. This is why we're doing what we're doing. Versus a property management company, sometimes it can be painful.
How many units do you think you need to have under management in a certain market before you even consider starting your own? Because there's like at 60 units, it's not worth it.
No, not at all. Yeah, and that's the tough part, right? Because at one point, if you're at 50 units, it's not worth it. I think you need to be at least at 100 units plus, right, to even consider it. And then the math is like one property manager per 100 units, one maintenance person per 100 units is a good kind of metric for it.
And that's, you're saying multifamily. So how many of these are like 1 to 4 unit multifamily versus are they like 20 plexes, 30 plexes?
Yeah, all of them are, I think the smallest one we have is 10 units, but they're average probably like 40 units.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know, yeah, because it's hard because like at 40, 30 units, there's not enough revenue to have on-site leasing or on-site maintenance.
Yeah.
Right? Like that number is usually at like 75 on one complex.
Yeah. So the reframe on that, right, because I had that same question.
Oh, okay.
So one of my mentors told me, it's like, dude, it's not about like one building having one property manager. It's great if you have 100 units, whatever, you can have an office, right? But if you have it in a half an hour radius, cool. And that's what we have. Like we have a property manager that goes. We have them go to each property once. Like on Monday they're going to that city and going to these properties. On Tuesday they're going to that property. Wednesday, it's at home, admin day. Thursday they're going back out. Friday leasing day, right? So. It's all very, very possible. And we have offices in like 2 of them, right? So she can go sit and stay at those offices and actually do work. But to be honest, like, it's more just, do you have a concentrated amount of units in a certain area?
Yeah.
Versus one building. Yeah, that is always the optimal, but like it's not the impossible. Because once you get into like the 100 units, you're now competing against the REITs, the bigger guys anyways. And where we find the most success actually is right in that like, probably like 30 to 100 range.
Yeah.
Because you're still dealing with the mom paws, right? And
for sure.
Like I'm literally dealing with these people that have not, like literally we did a deal one time. It was a 52 unit and this guy didn't even have an email. Literally, like the broker would have to drop off papers to his office, right? And, but it was great because we got a steal of a deal there, right?
Yeah.
He had no comps. He didn't really like look at anything else. He just like, hey, I think this is fair. And I'm like, yeah, sounds good. Like, that's good. It was literally a napkin, back of the napkin kind of deal. So.
All right, that deal. What'd you get it for?
We got that one for $3.4 million. It's a 52 unit.
Okay. And then how much money did you have to put in for CapEx or like what's the renovation budget there?
Seller financed.
Okay.
Right? So this is in 2020, end of 2022. So December 30th, 2022, we closed.
100% seller financed?
Not 100% seller financed, with 32.5% down, which is a mil, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, a mil, and we raised
32% down. Got it.
Yeah, 32.7% down. The total raise was 1.4.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it was a mil down, and then we projected like maybe like $200K for CapEx.
Okay.
But honestly, he was the builder of the property too. Kept it in immaculate shape. It was a 1999 build. like fantastic. So our capex actually per unit was actually a lot less. So we're averaging like $1,000 right now.
Wow.
On capex turns, we're like, oh, this is crazy. Other units are like at like 6K.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, so that was super cool. So actually now we just have a bunch of cap reserves.
So you bought it for 3.4. What do you think it's worth now?
It's probably in like the 4.8 range right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still stabilization right now, so we're like 75% at stabilization, meaning at market rent.
Okay.
So I think at 100% market rent. So I was doing that just math yesterday, but at 100%, we're probably at a 5.9 mil valuation, at 6.5 cap. So yeah.
Okay.
Not bad.
Dude, that's a good deal.
Yeah.
And then how many of these are you trying to do per year?
Well, it depends on the year, man. Depends on what's happening in the market, right? I mean, we're always looking, right? I think, if you're like trying to time the market, it's gonna be tough. So I'm constantly looking at deals, right? No matter what the market cycle is, no matter what the rates are.
And you're going direct to seller?
Combination of stuff, right? So we have
brokers.
seller, we have broker, we have network, word of mouth, right?
Yeah.
So for the most part, I mean, still brokers are the best lead source. I mean, we do the direct to seller still as like, we've done a few deals that way. But it's just a way that, we have more deals into our laps.
Yeah.
At that point.
Gotcha. Okay, so let me pivot now, Jennie. We'll go like some rapid fire, almost like hot takes a little bit. Agent side or investing side?
I still like the agent side because the emotional aspect of being able to give someone their keys or just being able to transform a home. And it's more local here.
Yeah.
And I love making my money here. I'm like, Calvin, you go buy some more deals there. So it's a great combination and mix. And in the investing, like I'm more residential. So I find most of our residential like Airbnbs and investment properties here, but a lot of them were going to be our listings. They called me to like sell their house, but then I said, hey, I'll buy it from you. And they're like, really? Okay. And get a good deal. They don't have to pay commissions. They don't have to do any open houses. They don't have to fix anything. So we've bought a few properties that way. But the ultimate question is what I'm really passionate about is the wellness side. So we just acquired a Hawaii retreat center, and I love retreats, just being able to have transformative events in a 4-day or 5-day, and being able to be in an intimate group, about 20 to 30 people, and provide them healing through breath work, through mindfulness, through meditation, through education of what we teach as well too. Because there's like these retreats that are just woo woo, and then there's all these conferences that are huge and a lot of rah.
Yeah.
So how can we bring the woo-woo and the rah together in between?
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's dive into the Hawaii Wellness Retreat. Mm-hmm. Is that now the goal that was purely to have a spot for yourselves, I'm assuming, and also it's like a community space for your group? The goal necessarily wasn't like, how much was, like, is the goal of that to make money too? Or is that just the parking money?
It is still profitable because there are people who want to book out these spaces as well. There is a need and a niche of where they might want to get a group of friends or families together to stay like 16, 20 people in a space and not stay in a hotel room, and treat it as similar to an Airbnb, but more on a larger scale. Because before we used to book out Airbnbs for our retreats. I'm like, it's so much money. So it is helping us save a lot on that. But then we're allowing the magical healing to be able to provide for other groups and other coaching programs to be able to host their events there too.
When does the boutique hotels come in for you guys?
After we stabilize this.
Once we stabilize this, but future is getting a private island with the resorts and provide for healing. Our mentor owns a private island in the British Virgin Islands, and it is on the radar. So I would probably say next 10 years. So keep us accountable.
How much does a private island cost?
It depends if it has infrastructure or not, but if it has infrastructure, a lot more.
Like, give me
in the hundreds of millions.
Okay.
Yes. But there's also it depends on where. So we'll probably buy in the Philippines or Indonesia where there's islands for $1 million, $2 million, which is the price of a home here in the Bay Area. And some of it already has infrastructure. But yeah, by the US, it's going to be hundreds of millions. There's really cheap islands in Nicaragua for $300,000,
There's $20 million one in San Francisco.
which you can't build anything on.
Yeah, and there's infrastructure. Yeah.
Interesting.
But also holding costs on those are crazy, like because you got to maintain the island too.
Yeah. I have no idea what maintaining an island looks like, but I'm assuming it,
A lot.
depending how big it is, like
I wish their numbers were
on site.
Yeah, on-site staff, and you can't have an island just go empty, I guess.
I've never thought about what it costs to run an island. Like you think like cruises, right? And they all have, Disney has their private island, Royal Caribbean has a private island too. And are there on-site living quarters there for their staff? I would assume so, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, our mentor has on-site living, but also off-site living. So on another island, she has like a compound where people stay.
And then they just like ferry to the main island.
Yeah. For the whole day. Yeah.
Okay, how are you guys finding mentors now? Tell me about like the different. You have your own coaching program, but obviously you've. I'm assuming that you've also had how many different coaches in the last 10 years have you guys had? Because you guys have dropped a few.
Yes.
He, she's, they's mentors.
We have a lot of coaches. And,
Yeah.
But I mean, like, you want to tell your stat that you was saying?
Yeah. So whatever you want to make, you want to invest at least 10% of that in yourself. So if you want to make $1 million, you probably have to invest at least $100,000 in yourself through mentorship, through your mindset, through books, and through fitness as well too. So just being able to take care of you to get to that level. And so our coaches we started with Fortune Builders, learning about real estate investing. We went to mindset spiritual coaching with Abundant. We've gotten coaching from Tony Robbins. We're in his platinum partnership right now. We're coaching with Brittany Turner. We have my real estate coach as well too. Calvin's been in a part of a bunch of masterminds with multifamily investors and GoBundance and Jake and Gino are a few to name ones. And then we've created our own as well too, because we want to be the average of 5 people we surround ourselves with. And to be honest, like our friends, not all of our friends here locally were at our level. So we wanted to be challenged. It's like, and how I found Brittany Turner, who's one of our coaches who owns a private island, was Calvin was on a webinar and she owns a private island and is worth like $350 million and is 35 years old. So he just screenshotted her and I was like, okay, I need to get in front of a room with her. So I just went on Instagram and she had a mastermind group on her island. And they're like, I'm going to that. And I'm bringing you, Calvin. We're going to the island. And you just have to surround yourself with. And yes, sometimes you have to pay to be in the room. But those nuggets, by being there, you're going to learn so much and bring so much more value that I implemented that like some of the tips that she gave that automatically paid back what our investment was.
Yeah, and it also like it raises your, I guess, even own mindset of like what's possible, right? Like Jennie actually we had done business mastery with Tony Robbins before, and she had told Tony like she had one of the screen times one-on-one with him, and he was like, I'm gonna own a private island, I'm gonna take you with, right? And this is before we met Brittany, and then that's why I sent the screenshot to Jennie. I was like, oh, this lady actually owns a private island. She's like, dude, done, right? Like we're going. And but like before that, it's like that's not even a conversation that you have. That's not even possible. Right, like even if you back it up all the way, it's like even owning your first investment property. It wasn't possible in our network of people because all of our friends were drinking and partying all the time. So okay, we wrote that barrier. Okay, and then it's like bigger multifamily. I was so scared about that because it was like this whole like Grant Cardone bigger thing that I just didn't feel like it was worthy enough to do. And then you do it, and you're like, okay, cool. You surround yourself with the people that did it. Then you go do it. Then it's normal, right?
Yeah.
And then you go to like even the next level, like what. How can you surround yourself with people that think even bigger than you? And that's, I think that's the magic of that. It's like you get out of your own comfort zone because it's the new normal. And just by weird osmosis, like by having people around you that do more, not even more, but like, things that you want to do, you're gonna normalize it too.
And what we also saw the commonality from a lot of these great mentors is they give back. I think my main thing of charity before meeting our mentor, Brittany and Tony, was charity was my parents. How can I get them to retire? And once I got that, I was actually in a depressed state for multiple months. I was like, my whole purpose in my life was to retire my parents. I did that. Now what? it's to be able to give back and be able to teach younger children, middle school, high school students on financial literacy, be able to save kids and save women from human sex trafficking. And last year we were able to donate $100,000 towards charity in these causes. And it feels so good to be able to give back from and not have to worry about money coming in.
Yeah.
And it's like knowing the impact that we can make on the world to make it a better place.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. As you get yourself into different rooms, sometimes you do have to pay for them, but what you get back is just crazy, right? Like if you think about like the amount of deal flow, the amount of, when you have a speed bump or a problem, now you have someone who's 1 or 2 steps ahead who you can bring that problem to, that probably has that solution already and done that problem 100 times, but for you, it's brand new. And as you level up in every single room, as you go through, hopefully your problems also get harder, because with the really, really hard problems is where you make real money and real success and real impact. So it's nice to see that you guys are, I mean, you guys almost seem like you guys are in too many mastermind groups at this point.
Yeah, we talk about that sometimes. But that's a good point. It's like you have to stop something, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can't just keep on adding and adding and adding. You gotta stop something before you can add more stuff too.
So it's one thing that you stopped recently.
Oh man, I mean, we don't have Netflix anymore.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we don't have Netflix, we don't drink anymore.
Okay.
We stopped some masterminds, but it's like still being able to be
Yeah.
a part of who were the great people that we did connect with during those masterminds, and then continue
Yeah,
along.
it's like also like what season of life are you in? Like,
Yeah.
Because some of these masterminds served us so well at the time, and now they don't serve as much. And just having the, I guess, strength and ability to say, like, you know what, like, it doesn't serve me anymore. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
I mean, goals change, interests, priorities change, and that's just part of it.
Yeah, and even relationships sometimes too. It's like, hey, this really isn't serving me as a relationship anymore. Let's move on, right?
Yeah.
And like, you know, pour energy into the ones that are and really are, you know, kind of energizing you, and also just, you know, getting you lit up about what's next in life.
Last couple of tactical things, and then we'll wrap up. Jennie, if someone wants to be an agent, what is the one thing you think that they should do? Like, what's like the first thing in the morning, every single day they should do what? Super tactical.
So one thing I just recently started doing, and it's been really helpful, is sending 10 video text messages in the morning. I actually have that time blocked on my calendar. Just doing like, hey, Josh, it's Jennie Lok. Hope you're doing well. I'm so excited to do a podcast with you today, or thank you so much for having me on podcast. And just not talking about business, but just getting face-to-face because people are getting bombarded with emails and messages and all these other things. So how can you be unique? Like similar to going back, my Disney storybook that I mailed to my first client. So it's like getting that face-to-face, and then they see you visually. And I've gotten such warm messages when people like never responded back to me in a long time, and like sending these messages, they respond back.
I love that. There's so little, like being on video is not like as hard, it's scary. And I don't know, would you weigh a video message or a handwritten letter? Which one do you think would break the attention barrier right now more? If you had to just pick one.
So I do both, but the video text message, just because it's instant, it's fast, they see your
Yeah,
face.
super fast too.
And they see your emotions, and they see it's personalized to you. Because sometimes like, if you get a handwritten letter, like I have my intern write some of my handwritten letters, and like they don't know if it's from me. I don't really get responses back all the time from that.
I love it. I love video, like just video sales, anything or messages, and I don't do it enough. So I will do it more.
Marketing, what up?
All right, Calvin, for you, if someone wants to buy their first investment property, what's the action they got to take?
Ooh, okay, so I think the action is, well, why? Like anyone could just be like, oh, I want to go buy an investment property. Okay, well, why do you want to do it? Right?
Yeah.
Because I think people get so much stuck of like seeing other people's goals and be like, oh, I should do that too. Like, oh, that person's doing it, I should do it too. But why do you want to do it?
Yeah.
Why is it important for you? Like, are you looking for the cash flow? Are you looking for equity? Are you looking to do something else? Or are you just doing it because everyone else is doing it? Right. So understanding just like the why aspect of it, and then tactically, it's actually just go find it. Number one thing is just find someone that has done it and just ask them a bunch of questions, add value to them, right? And then just go do it. I think the biggest thing that people get stuck at when they're first deal is fear.
Yeah.
Right, like the fear of unknown. Well, guess what? At one point, you didn't know how to, write or speak, right? But you eventually have to figure it out, right? So if you want to do real estate, you got to get your first deal, right? And a lot of times we'll hear like people will just go and they think it's this big gargantuan thing to do, and then once they do it, they're like, oh, it wasn't that bad. It was actually pretty easy. So just go do it. Take action.
And to emphasize the add value. So a lot of people ask us to be their mentors, and it's like, okay, what am I going to get out of it? Because it is very tiring to mentor someone. But then like when I went to my first mentor in real estate, I had 50 handwritten letters to notice of defaults and pre-foreclosures. And I wrote all these letters and I said, I'm ready. I've already sent some of these out and I've gotten calls, but I don't know how to respond to them. So can you help me? And then that showed it. They're like, oh, okay, I want to mentor this lady. And I'm sure you get a lot of people like, hey, can you teach me? And can I do this? But you're like, okay, what value are you going to bring?
The theme for you, what I'm realizing is that every single time you want something, like there's above and beyond, and then there's like the above and beyond extra, which is also how you stand out, which is really good. I know, like, say, I'll even just take like my job right now over at the winery. I remember like interviewing for that. I went out and I looked through every single magazine that they placed in, and I analyzed all the competitor ads that were also with them. I did this entire like deep dive web traffic analysis, and I built out an entire plan of like, hey, here's where your gaps are and what I think they are, and here's what it is. And I brought that, and I just slid the folder in the interview. And you do the same thing for all of yours. I think if someone's buying an investment property too, and someone wants someone to double check your numbers, well, you better run 100 numbers and be like, cool, what did I get wrong now? Because if you just come up and just say, I don't know how to run numbers, well, even if I show you one time, you're still not going to know. And there's that level extra work that you have to get done, especially if you want to stand out. A post. We'll talk about the post question of what post has gone most viral for either of you, or which post has generated you the most business, or is there a type of post that is it a picture, is it a video? What's the strategy behind it as you guys are sharing?
Yeah. Mine was first how I started from flipping Jordans to flipping real estate or selling real. I don't really flip, but at least like being able to sell multi-million-dollar homes and just sharing my story. And I think people love, and they're like, what, this girl flipped Jordans? Do you really know what a Jordan is? Like, yeah, I had Olympic 7s, I had Red 13s, I had True Blue 3s, I had all that stuff. So just sharing that, just showing him the fun side of me.
Do you also collect Jordans too? Did you?
No.
You're not a shoe head.
No, I'm not a shoe head, no.
Oh, man.
She was like saying all these things, and I was like, what's a bread?
Bread, Forge, Bread,
Yeah,
Supreme SPs.
It's the whole thing. I'm not, not that much into Jordan, so.
Okay, so that one, I mean, but that also like tells the story of who you are, which is fun. How about you, for Calvin? What's the...
Yeah, I think the posts that have, I think made the most impact are the ones that like have shown that like it's more just about giving back and stuff in general, right? I think we see so much on social media now, like here's the best version of me. This is like, everything, but it's like those posts that show like, hey, it's more about the other aspect of life. We just had our post about our Zinco's Cares, right? And that generated a lot of just noise in general. We had the most comments we ever got from that. Versus, us just posting about, hey, here's our next deal. It's great. Like, cool. But like, it's not like an emotional tie. It's more just like a, hey, cool, look at us. Like, here's our deal. Versus, wow, look at the things that you can do if you make wealth, right? Is you can give back. You get to give back. And look at the impact that you're making. I think a lot of people forget about that. Actually, Decent told me yesterday at the office, he's like, hey man, just been seeing your social media. He's like, dude, I just love, I just brought my parents to an island, right? As a vacation. And he was just like, I really respect that you just are able to show that to kids that can see this, because, they, instead of seeing the Lambos that these influencers are renting and, whatever, just look cool, you get to see, the aspect of like, wow, like this person is really caring about other stuff besides the materialistic stuff that isn't really important.
Yeah.
And it gives them something to really strive for versus. So to me, that's the most impactful kind of post.
If you don't double tap someone's, giving back post, you must feel like you're doing a disservice. You know what I mean?
In a way, though, right? But it's more fulfilling in general.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last question. Favorite meal, favorite drink, favorite experience that you've had. And you can only pick one. It sounds like you guys have really fun experiences, not only the ones that you host yourself, but if you had to pick one that stands out, maybe it's the first one that comes into your mind. Like, who was it with? What was it? And what was that unlock there?
Okay, I'll go first. So we had this meal. So we got married in Singapore, and I used to live in Singapore back in the day. And I remember it was we wanted to get like the crab there. That's like what they're really famous for. So we go to this crab place right in Singapore. Jumbo Seafood Premium. And we're like, oh, this is like Alaskan king crab. It's only XYZ dollars, right? And I was like, oh, let's go do it. So we go and get it. Probably one of the best meals I've ever had in my life. Like we ate every last bit of it, and like Singaporean style crab. It's like chili crab, so good. They have like little, what's the bread thing called again?
Mantos.
Oh my god, so good. Anyways, we get the bill. It's like $780.
Okay.
For like this like crab. Right?
We thought it was $50 because we saw $50, but
No. It was a metric system.
Yeah.
It's a metric system. So I calculated the wrong metric. One more decimal
Oh,
point.
because it's by weight.
Yeah,
but
so I was like, that's only gonna be like $70. This is great, right? $700 for like half a Alaskan king crab chili style. But it was hilarious. And it was one of those moments that was like totally worth it. That was delicious. And like it was kind of we like laughed. I was like, ha, like that's hilarious. Like $700 more, but that's hilarious. And it was one of those things where it's like, hey, like it's okay. Like
yeah,
it doesn't affect us at all. But like, we got a cool, funny story out of it, and it was really memorable because that was the first time I had been back to Singapore since I lived there when I was a kid. So I was like 20 years or so. So.
Oh, so you were born there?
I was 5 to 10
Okay.
years old when I lived there. So yeah, I was young.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's yours, Jenny?
Mine was actually at this table. So we got this. Yeah, we got this right before Thanksgiving dinner, this last Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And his parents came, my parents came, or they live here, and like my mom loves to cook such amazing feasts, so made probably like 18 dishes, and with lobster, crab, fish, like every single
This is like
thing.
an everyday thing. That I'm not gonna lie.
And I just like, we were all kind of cramped in here. Like we can probably fit 10, but we had probably 13 people in here. But just being able to be in this room and knowing this is a house that we manifested, being able to retire my parents, move them from New York to California, having his parents and all of our siblings here, just really enjoy. And those are the moments that I cherish the most, of just family and closeness together. Like at first I was like, okay, was it like this Michelin star restaurant, all these? But no, it's just in the heart of our own home.
Both of your stories, you could have went anywhere, right? With your Tony Robbins and your private island. But I love how both of you guys brought it back to family, which ultimately that's, for at least for you guys and for me, that's kind of really all that matters. And it's easy to forget that sometimes. So
Yeah, it literally is the only thing that matters, and I think that's like sometimes we forget about that so much. Where it's like, oh, I gotta do more real estate deals or more business. But dude, if you have people that love you and you love them, like you have everything that you ever need in life.
I love it. Well, I appreciate you guys sharing your story. For the viewers, how can people find you?
Yes, you can follow me at Jennie Lok, JennieLok on Instagram, and you can follow Calvin.
Yeah, at calvinshin.rei or at our website, zencoastuniversity.com.
I love it. And if you enjoyed this conversation, please make sure you give this video a like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, you can put them down in the comments below. Maybe they'll see them if you want to do any follow-ups there. But Calvin, Jenny, thanks so much for jumping on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate you having us.
Mike, cheers.
Cheers.
Boom.